Young woman plans to marry a millionaire for his money, but she didn't expect this to happen. Everyone wonders if they will ever find true love in their lives. But what is even more intriguing is whether unknown couples have discovered this kind of love. And everyone becomes suspicious and even anxious when they see someone very young marrying someone much older, especially if the older person is wealthy. The truth is, we never truly know people's real intentions or who they really love. However, in Emily's case, a young woman known for always trying to take advantage of situations, her intentions were not the best. Drawn to Parker's enormous fortune, she tried to pull the old swindle on the elderly man, but little did she know what he had planned for her. At 25, Emily worked at a pet shop. She dealt with washing dogs, cats, and other pets all day long, despite her aversion to animals. She was there only for the salary, which was enough to survive, and for the benefits she received. Deep down, her unhappiness was apparent. Her days were marked by the sadness of not living the life of her dreams and not achieving her goals. Moreover, Emily disliked spending her own money, always looking for someone else to pay her bills. This practice prevented her from doing many things she wanted. She woke up early to work, returned home late, dealt with animals she hated, and felt that she received too little for her efforts at the pet shop. Her life was monotonous, going from home to work and from work to home. The turning point came when a friend invited Emily to dinner at an expensive restaurant, changing her life forever. The place, located in an upscale area of the city, was luxurious. Emily accepted the invitation since her friend agreed to pay her part of the bill. Upon entering, she felt at home. The sophisticated atmosphere was filled with the wealthiest and most refined people in the city. Emily felt comfortable, experiencing a slight sense of power being among those people. She felt better there than when she was with her own family. She ate and drank the best that night, and upon leaving, she saw a sign outside the restaurant announcing they were hiring. Without a second thought, she decided to return the next day to try for a job interview. She arrived early, before the place opened to the public, and managed to be heard by the owner of the entire restaurant franchise, Mr. Parker. Normally, he did not conduct interviews, but the young woman was so insistent that he decided to make an exception. The elderly restaurant owner was charmed by the attractive young woman asking for a job. She appeared strong, focused on her goals, spoke eloquently, and knew how to behave in an upscale environment like that. Mr. Parker had no doubts Emily would be hired to work on scheduling reservations, greeting customers, and guiding them to their tables. During her first month, Emily performed her duties impeccably. She arrived early every day and, with her beauty and extraordinary persistence, managed to attract many new customers to the restaurant, leaving Mr. Parker delighted with the young woman's exceptional work. However, he had no idea that all this was part of a carefully crafted plan by Emily. During the job interview, Emily noticed the mark on Mr. Parker's ring finger and saw pictures on the restaurant wall with a lady about his age. Judging by the appearance, Emily deduced that he was a widower and over 80 years old. She then decided to seduce the elderly man, making him fall in love with her. Aware that, given his age and appearance, he wouldn't have many years left, she planned to marry him, wait a few years until his death, and inherit his large fortune and restaurant franchise. The young woman felt no remorse in manipulating and lying during this time, as she knew a substantial financial reward awaited her at the end. The plan was going as expected. Mr. Parker, with his graying hair and now limping due to his advanced age, was so pleased with Emily's performance that he decided to take her to dinner at a restaurant outside of town, owned by a friend of his. At that dinner, Emily did her best, seducing and flattering the man all night long. It didn't take long for him to succumb to the charms of the attractive woman. During dinner, the elderly man was candid with Emily, sharing some of his love life. His wife had passed away 5 years ago. They met in school, married young, built the restaurant empire together, and lived a whole life side by side. A few weeks later, after going out occasionally and getting to know each other better, Emily asked the man to be her boyfriend. The elderly man was surprised that a woman like her would want to be with someone of his age, but he joyfully accepted the request. The young woman dedicated herself completely to the relationship, taking the elderly man to places he didn't even know existed, introducing him to incredible new spots in the city that she herself had never visited before because they were too expensive. With so much care and appreciation shown by the young woman, the inevitable happened. Mr. Parker fell hopelessly in love with Emily. With her, he felt alive again, experiencing new emotions and meeting people he would never have encountered in his life. He was enchanted and as happy as he had not been in many years. Mr. Parker, imbued with contagious happiness, decided to do something extravagant that was not part of his routine. He rented a yacht. They had been together for a few months, and the gentleman, following his old-fashioned customs, decided to propose to Emily during the outing. He chose an afternoon with clear skies and perfect weather to make the moment even more special. Surprisingly, the young woman promptly accepted, filling Mr. Parker with joy. However, even wrapped in so much happiness, he began to notice that Emily spent a lot of time on her cell phone, taking pictures only of herself and talking to other people. Despite this, he did not mind, believing that she was sharing the news with her friends. What he did not notice was the pattern of high spending by the young woman. Weekly, she spent large sums on clothes from renowned brands, shoes whose prices rivaled those of luxury apartments, and high-value jewelry. Emily had quickly adapted to the luxurious lifestyle, appearing to have been born and raised in that environment. This change in behavior raised concerns for Mr. Parker's bank manager, as he had never spent such large sums before. Although he had been wealthy for many decades, Mr. Parker had built his restaurant empire from modest beginnings. Originally from a small town and humble origins, he studied gastronomy and started his great chain of restaurants in the kitchen of his small apartment. The elderly man had always led a simple life, spending money only on his business without buying houses or luxury items. Faced with this new financial reality, the bank manager contacted Mr. Parker to check if everything was all right, given the significant amount of money being withdrawn from his account. This episode made the old man begin to question the true intentions of the woman. Already suspicious of long phone calls and Emily's prolonged absence from home, Mr. Parker began to fear that she was only interested in his money. Married for almost his entire life, he had never faced concerns of this kind, as his late wife shared his uncomplicated view of money. Consumed by anguish, the elderly gentleman began to ponder if he had made a mistake in marrying the young woman. In an effort to dispel his worries, Mr. Parker decided to consult a friend who referred him to a private detective. Hired to investigate, the detective followed Emily for several weeks, documenting each of her movements. When the modest man received the final report from the detective, he was stunned. He discovered that Emily was cheating on him almost daily and was using his fortune to lavish her lovers with gifts. Mr. Parker was devastated, as he had placed trust in a woman for the first time since the death of his wife, and this was the result. Even though he was sad and demotivated, the gentleman decided to take action against the ungrateful and deceitful young woman. With the need to act quickly, he lowered the limits on all the cards in her possession. On her first attempt to use the card, it was declined, leaving Emily incredulous. When she tried to contact him, she was unsuccessful and was forced to return all her purchases to the store, facing overwhelming embarrassment. When she returned home, she confronted her husband about what had happened. He claimed ignorance of the reason, attributing the problem to the bank and promising to resolve it the next day. Emily tried to play it cool, casually asking about the declined card, but her expression of anger betrayed her frustration. At that moment, Mr. Parker could see the true nature of the woman, without the enchantment filter he had previously placed on himself. He realized what she truly cared about and would not let the lies go unpunished. The next day, the gentleman went to the bank not to solve the problem with the card, but to modify his marriage and inheritance contract. His late wife, to whom he was married before Emily, could not have children, leaving him without heirs. With no siblings and his family already deceased, everyone wondered about the fate of his money and businesses. Unfortunately, the restaurant owner's plan was interrupted by his sudden death. Mr. Parker never revealed to anyone, but he had been battling cancer for a few years and knew his days were numbered. He passed away saddened, feeling betrayed by the last person he trusted. However, he left a letter with his faithful butler, indicating how he wanted his last farewell to be. Faced with her husband's death, Emily organized the funeral exactly as Mr. Parker had instructed. Inviting all his oldest friends, Emily arranged for the reading of the will in accordance with Mr. Parker's instructions. Initially, they thanked everyone for their presence, remembering the importance of each person in the old man's life. The mention of his deceased wife made the current wife uncomfortable, especially when Mr. Parker expressed happiness at finding the love of his life again. When addressing the young woman's role in his life, he praised her, thanking her for making his last years special. However, he surprised everyone by revealing that the present for Emily consisted of a framed photo of him laughing, a rare, almost unheard of expression for those who lived with him. The seemingly generous gesture carried a mocking message, revealing that Mr. Parker had always known about her plan. The next part of the will revealed a fortune larger than anyone imagined. However, all the money would go to charity, not a penny for Emily, no property, no car. The restaurants would be bequeathed to an old friend, while the luxury items acquired in recent years would be sold, depriving her of her possessions. Emily's plan had utterly failed. Devastated, penniless, jobless, she lost the social ascent she had aspired to. The embarrassment during the reading of the will made her notorious in the city, losing friends and being forced to return to the old pet shop, resuming the unhappy life she had before. Mr. Parker passed away saddened by the betrayal, but content that he had found his true soulmate in his deceased wife. He died remembering that he had already found true love, while Emily proved to be a gold digger who ultimately failed to achieve her goals. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit like and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.